All right, in this video, we're going to talk about the weather station modeling worksheet and how this is going to work. So I created this template for your use throughout this. A lot of this stuff is on there, but the worksheet didn't talk a lot about visibility and what present weather means and precipitation, but I'll talk about all those things. All right. So I've already created a chart based off this, right? So we did this background information together. These are the 2 pages you're working on. So I created something that looks like this, and I'm going to show you how and where I got all the numbers from to fill this in correctly. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to work on the other side and show you how to fill one of these out as well. Okay. All right, so we're starting here, right? As we look at this example, we want to break down a station like this, right? You're doing city A, B, C, and D on the worksheet. We'll call this station D as an example, maybe E for example. But this is what we're seeing, right? If I'm looking for temperature, temperature is in the top left corner, right? So I take this 28 and I move it over here to my 28 like that, right? Dew point is found in the bottom left corner, so I take that 27 and I move it up here, right? Barometric pressure, right? You see the answer, the red arrow points to where we started, right? So as I look at this, if I go through this process with you, right, I start with 196. Remember, this is my tens place, my ones place, and my tenths place. And because my first number is a 1, it's between 1 and 5. And so the pattern says put a 10 in front of that. And then, of course, we need to add our decimal in place where that goes. So that's where that number comes from. Okay. Barometric tendency is this plus 19 with the slash mark right there. Right. And so on the worksheet, we're dealing with kind of this little section right here and how to handle that. Okay. And so just like when we did the pressure here and put this 10 in here, right? We do the same kind of thing with the tendency. We want to know how much is the pressure changing. And it doesn't change by a lot, but it's not by 19, right? Once again, if you look at the directions, we're looking at this number, right? We're looking at the ones place and the tenths place, which means to convert it, we'd have to put that decimal in there, right? And then we pull it over, and that's where the 1.9 came from. The plus sign tells me it's increasing. How it's increasing, that's what the slant means, and so it's increasing steadily at 1.9 gives us that idea. All right. Cloud cover comes from the center of the circle. I look at what that symbol means, and then I go here and I look at cloud coverage right here in this sheet, and so I got no clouds, right? And I take the fraction, if there is a fraction, and I convert that into a percentage, right? So 3/4 as a percentage is 75%, which is where I got 75%. Wind direction is southwest, right? I look at this and I say, okay, what direction is this long line actually pointing? And the answer would be it's pointing southwest, as you can see, right? But we have that compass rose and we're working with that. Wind speed, right? Obviously, we don't see a 15 on here at all, so where did this number come from? Once again, I go here and I look at my lines in the wind speed chart. A long line means 10, a short line means 5. And so if I have a long line, that would be 10, plus a short line, which would be 5, so that would be a total of 15. Now, visibility. This might be a section I misled you on in class, possibly, because I think I got the numbers mixed up as I was trying to help people. All right. And if I did mix them up for you, just switch them around, just draw an arrow and say these two are different, okay? Anyway, visibility is actually this value right here, this one half idea right here is where we're going to get our visibility. It says that it's a half mile visibility. I wrote it as a decimal over here because I did, all right? Precipitation then is just a direct number. That's going to be in our bottom right corner right here. And I'm going to take that 0.25 and move it over there. And then finally, I'm going to look at 2 things for the present weather. First of all, I'm going to look at the inside of the circle and I'm going to say, okay, I got this black that goes 3/4 of the way. What does that mean? And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over here and say, okay, that means mostly cloudy. So I'm going to type that. And then if there happens to be a symbol, which ours does, it has a little symbol there, then I would insert that as well. So we got a star symbol, so I would have light intermittent snow, right? So I just wrote snowing, right? A better way would be light intermittent space, put a B in there, right? Mostly cloudy, light intermittent snow, right? So that's the process for part 1, right? Part 2 then, you got a box that looks like this. I have some pre-typed values just to make this go a little bit faster, okay? But now we're going to use the key, right? This key right here. And most of this stuff is on your sheet. I think a couple of these values are not, but you can definitely use this video to help you, right? But we're going to use this key. And so if you don't know where something goes, go back to the front of here, right? Most of this stuff is right here, all right? As we're looking at it. All right, back into the problem then. Temperature is 51. I'm gonna take one of these 51s that I've pre-made, and we're gonna go here to the temperature because top left corner is temperature. Dew point is 51 as well. All right, and so those go in the bottom left corner is where that one's going to go. All right. It says fill in what the cloud cover should be. All right, if the air temperature is 51 and the dew point is 51, we know that when air temperature reaches its dew point, it's going to precipitate, right? So we're going to have lots of clouds. So we're going to have a nice overcast day, 100% humidity. So I'm going to jump ahead. That's the advantage of the computer. If this was your case, you would fill that all in. Okay. Next step would be south-southwest, right? So if I had a line here, here's the line. Right, if you're not quite sure what south-southwest is, this is southwest, right? We got west, we got south, so halfway between that would be southwest. And then if I duplicate this, halfway between south and southwest is southwest. So I would come away with a line like that. 20 knots, jumping here, right? Here's my wind speed. Remember, long means 10 and short means 5. I need 20, so one long one would give me 10 and a second long one would give me 20. And so now I got my flag in place. Next, drizzle. All right. Once again, I kind of jumped ahead, but there's my drizzle symbol. If not, I would go right here to the weather conditions to find that. I have a light drizzle. How did I figure out it was a light drizzle, not a steady drizzle? I kind of just looked over it. 0.5 inches over the past 6 hours. Right? So pretty slow. Right? If you would have had a double apostrophe here symbol, I think drizzle is what I would be looking for the most, as you got that part right. The 0.5 though, that tells us how much precipitation there is, and precipitation goes in the lower right corner. Okay, so that goes there. Moving on. Now we got our pressure, right? We learned how to take a number like this, the 964, and we're going to pay attention to the tens, the ones, and the tenths, and that would convert it into 604 for this value. So I'm going to put that in the top right corner. And then finally, the last thing we did on the worksheet was we looked how to talk about barometric tendency. So it's steadily falling, right? So falling means we're going to need a negative symbol. So we got the negative 10 there. Sorry, the negative. Steadily is the line because it's falling. We want it going slanting this way, not the other way. And then what do we do with this 1, right? Just like I talked about last time, right? If this is my 1 millibar, right, I'm going to pay attention to the ones column and the tens column, which of course is not visible right now, but we could make it look visible, right? So 1.0, so here's our ones column, so that's where the 1 comes from. Here's our tens column, that's where the 0 comes from, and so 10 would be my value there. All right, that video was nice and fast. Hopefully it was fast. Faster than it could have been, let's put it that way. But that's where all those values come from, and that's how you would do something like that. The only thing that didn't show up in this example is visibility, right? If you had visibility, you would put that visibility right in front of the weather conditions. It would go right there. All right, hopefully those examples will help guide you through this worksheet. If for some reason you have some questions and can't get a hold of me.